Hello, everybody. It's Storytime with Teacher Gabe, and today we are reading books all about St. Patrick's Day because St. Patrick's Day is going to be happening on March 17th, I believe, which is going to be happening over the break, so we won't get to read any books on that day. So this is what we're reading all the books for today are for St. Patrick's Day. All right, our first book is called St. Patrick's Day by Gail Gibbons. Let's see, St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is celebrated each year on March 17th. Oh, I'm going to make this one a little bigger. This holiday is celebrated by the Irish and other people in many parts of the world. They honor St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick lived many years ago. He was born in Britain around the year 380 and raised in a Christian family. His parents didn't name him Patrick. Some people believe his name was Maewyn. While still a boy, he was kidnapped and brought to Ireland, where he was made a slave. His captors forced him to herd sheep. He prayed that God would help him. 6 years later, he escaped. After finally arriving back in Britain, he lived quietly. Hang on. After finally arriving back in Britain, he lived quietly, thought and prayed. He realized what he wanted to do. He had dreams of returning to Ireland to teach people about God. He went to France to study religion. In the year 432, the heads of the Catholic Church, the head of the Catholic Church, not heads, the head of the Catholic Church, the Pope, named him Patricius, the Latin name for Patrick. He became a priest and then a bishop. At last, Bishop Patrick's dream came true. He sailed back to Ireland and began preaching. He built churches and schools all over the country, and people noticed his kind ways and trusted him. Bishop Patrick spent the rest of his life caring for the Irish people. They loved this kind man. People honor Patrick on March 17th because he died on that day in the year 461. Later, the Catholic Church made him a saint, St. Patrick. Today, many things are done to celebrate this holiday. People go to church and give thanks to St. Patrick for his work in Ireland. People have fun, too. They dress in green to honor an ancient Irish custom. Hundreds of years ago, the people of Ireland burned branches with green leaves during the month of March and spread the ashes in fields to make them fertile and green. To wear green is to honor Ireland, the Emerald Isle. Decorations are put on doors and windows. Shamrocks appear everywhere. The shamrock is a plant that has 3 leaves and looks like a clover. It is the symbol of St. Patrick as well as Ireland. Leprechauns are remembered on St. Patrick's Day. Long ago, some Irish folk believed in these little magical creatures. It was thought if you caught a leprechaun, you could make him lead you to a pot of gold. Leprechaun comes from the old Irish word, Luke Borpon, meaning wee one. People believed they were only as big as your thumb. There is the shillelagh. Shillelagh too. In Ireland, many years ago, there was an old oak forest called shillelagh. I think I'm saying that right. The Irish like to own a sprig of shillelagh, a short oak club from the forest. Often people decorate shillelaghs with green ribbons. The harp is one of the oldest musical instruments and has been popular with the Irish people since early times. It serves as another St. Patrick's Day decoration. On St. Patrick's Day, people may give cards to their family and friends. People also make cakes, cookies, and goodies to share with others. Some people give flowers, Others wear green carnations or pin shamrocks to their clothes to celebrate the holiday. There may be St. Patrick's Day plays too. Some families and friends have quiet times together in remembrance of St. Patrick. Often there are meals to share. St. Patrick's Day parties are given too. It is fun to sing Irish songs, dance Irish jigs, and play games. In many places, there are St. Patrick's Day parades. Flags flutter in the wind, pipers and fiddlers play Irish tunes. There are green hats, people in costumes, green banners, lots of green. The first time St. Patrick's Day was celebrated in the United States was in 1737 in Boston. Each year, the Irish and many other people love to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. For many people, it is a day for worship and for celebration. And if you're not Irish, to feel a little bit Irish. Let's see. Legends about St. Patrick. St. Patrick and the snakes. It is said that St. Patrick got rid of all the snakes in Ireland by beating his drum. He frightened them into the sea. Today, there are no snakes on Ireland. Let's see. St. Patrick and the poison. Some people say that a wizard tried to kill St. Patrick by putting poison in his drink. St. Patrick quickly turned it into ice and tossed it from his cup. Let's see. St. Patrick and his cloak. It is said that St. Patrick had a friend who borrowed his cloak. There was a big fire where his friend was staying, but he was not hurt because he was wearing St. Patrick's cloak. Huh. Seems like a good cloak. St. Patrick and the shamrock. St. Patrick used the shamrock to explain to people about the Holy Trinity, one God and three divine beings, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Growing at his feet was a shamrock. He used this plant to explain three in one stem and three leaves. Let's see, St. Patrick and the fish. Another legend is that each year on March 17th, fish rise from the sea. They pass before St. Patrick's altar in Ireland and then disappear back into the sea. It is said that the sun didn't set. Oh, let's see. St. Patrick and the sunset. It is said that the sun didn't set when St. Patrick died, and that it shone in the sky for 12 days and nights. Oh my. All right, and that was St. Patrick's Day. Next, we have Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato, an Irish folktale by Tomie DePaola. Let's see, let's make these pages a little bigger. Jamie O'Rourke was the laziest man in all of Ireland. He would do anything to avoid working, especially if it had to do with growing potatoes. Jamie O'Rourke, his wife, Eileen, would say, "We'll have nothing to eat this winter if you don't go out and dig up dig up the praties." "Oh, the saints preserve us," Jamie would whine. "Me back's as sore as can be." "Sure as I'm telling you, wife, you'll have to dig 'em up yourself. I'll break in two if I so much get out of bed." So Eileen had done all the planting and watering and weeding anyhow. Let's see, hang on. So Eileen, who had done all the planting and watering and weeding anyhow, would go out to the tiny garden and dig up the smallest potatoes in Ireland, all because Jamie was too lazy to dig a larger garden and had no money to buy good potato seeds. Then poor Eileen wrenched her back and was laid up in bed. St. Bridget and the Virgin Mary herself must have smiled on Eileen O'Rourke. The village woman said, "Why, it's the first rest she's had since she married Jamie O'Rourke." Oh my. With Eileen in bed, Jamie began to worry. No Eileen to dig the No Eileen meant to dig meant no praties all winter, and no praties meant no food. "Oh, poor me," wailed Jamie. "I'll starve to death. I'd best go to church and confess to Father O'Malley. There's no telling how soon Old Death will be knocking on me door." So even though it was midnight, Jamie set out for the church. He was about halfway down the hill when he heard singing and a tap-tap-tapping sound. "Sure, I wouldn't be knowin'," Jamie whispered, "but I swear it's a leprechaun." And sure enough, sitting in a circle of ferns in the moonlight was a leprechaun singing and hammering tiny nails in the heels of the fairy's boots he was making. Jamie knew just what to do. He crept up and grabbed the little man by his coattails and held firm. Let me go, the leprechaun shouted. "Not on your life," Jamie said, "not until you show me where you keep your pot of gold." Now everyone in Ireland knows that leprechauns make boots and dancing shoes for the fairies, who pay them with gold. And everyone knows that if you catch a leprechaun, he'll pay for his freedom with his pot of gold. But this leprechaun was cleverer than most. "Oh, please, Mr. Mortal Man," he pleaded. "I'm just starting out making fairy shoes, and I only have 1 or 2 pieces of gold in my pot. Won't you take a wish instead?" "Why, what would I wish for?" Jamie asked. "Me who's about to die of starvation because my wife is sick in bed and can't dig the praties for the winter. And they're such puny praties anyhow." "Well," said the leprechaun, reaching into his pocket, "you could wish to grow the biggest pratie in the world. It would last all winter, and you wouldn't have to do anything more than plant this seed and water it and wait." That sounded wonderful to Jamie. "Done!" he shouted. As the leprechaun dropped the seed into Jamie's hand, Jamie let go of his coattails, and off that leprechaun scampered. When Eileen heard what he had done, she was furious. "Jamie O'Rourke, you're not only the laziest man in Ireland, but a fool as well, giving up a pot of gold for a pratie seed." "Well, I'm going to plant this seed and water it, and you'll see," Jamie said, and out he went. And faith, Eileen did see. In no time, in no time at all, the biggest, finest potato plant had sprouted out of the ground, followed by the potato itself. It was so big it pushed up not only all the dirt in the garden, but the garden shed and the corner of the cottage as well. "Well, surely now it's ready to dig," Jamie said proudly. "Oh my, that is a big potato." He hoed all around it. He couldn't dig up that patty out of the ground. He got a beam and a big rock and tried to pry it out. He pushed and he pushed, but it wouldn't budge. As he was pondering what to do, his neighbor passed by on his way to the village. He couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't wait to tell everyone in the village what he had seen, and before you knew it, the hill up to Jamie's house was filled with villagers coming to see the big potato. "Where did it come from?" they asked. Jamie told him about the lucky night he had caught the leprechaun and how smart he had been. "Why, anyone could have gone for a pot of gold," he bragged, "but the biggest pratie in the world, well, that took some doing." "However did you outsmart a leprechaun?" they all asked at once. Jamie hesitated and scratched his head. "We'll help you dig up your pratie, Jamie, if you tell us how you did it." And they grabbed shovels and hoes and started to dig. They dug, and they pushed and they shoved until the potato flew out of its hole. It rolled down the hill faster and faster until it reached the bottom, where it bounced up high and came to a stop, wedged between the stone walls on either side of the road. "The pratie is so big, no one, no cart, nothing can get it by. Nothing can get by it." The constable complained to Father O'Malley. "How's a body to get in or out of the village?" "What shall we do?" the villagers wailed. Then they all looked at Jamie and said, "It's your pratie. You'll have to move it out of our way." "Well," Eileen spoke up, "there's more than enough pratie for everyone. Why don't you all take some?" So the villagers sawed and chopped and carted off huge pieces of potato, while Jamie sat on the stone wall and watched. All winter long, everyone had potato to eat, and eat and eat until no one wanted to see or hear of potato again. In the spring, Jamie said, I saved a potato eye for a seed, and it's just about time to plant it. Oh no, the villagers all cried. If you promise not to plant it, Jamie, we'll promise before St. Patrick and all the saints to see that you and Eileen always have plenty to cook and eat. We don't want another giant party around here. Jamie smiled and agreed. What a perfect life for a lazy man. And so you see, darling Eileen, Jamie told her, I wasn't such a fool with that leprechaun at all. And Eileen had to admit that Jamie O'Rourke was right. Oh, and the leprechaun got to keep his pot of gold. All right, and that was Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato. All right, and that was all the stories we have for today. Thank you guys for reading with me. I hope you guys have a good day.